It was a call that should never have been made. February 18th, 2022. Maplewood, New Jersey. A quiet suburb where neighbors still wave and children walk to school alone. A place where nothing terrible ever happened. Until that Tuesday night. The 911 call came in at 7:42 p.m. The dispatcher noted the caller's voice. Young, female, trembling, but not frantic. Controlled. That was the first thing that felt off. "There's been an accident," the voice said. "The little boy. He fell down the basement stairs. I don't think he's breathing." The dispatcher asked for the address. The caller gave it. Then the dispatcher asked for the boy's name. A pause. Too long. 3 seconds of silence that felt like a lifetime. "Noah," the caller finally said. "Noah Patterson. He's 4 years old." The dispatcher told the caller to stay on the line, to check for a pulse, to begin CPR if she knew how. The caller said she would try. Then the line went dead. When paramedics arrived 9 minutes later, they found the front door unlocked, the living room television still on, and a teenage girl standing at the top of the basement stairs, her hands clasped in front of her, her face expressionless. Behind her, at the bottom of the concrete steps, lay Noah Patterson. He was not breathing. His neck was bent at an unnatural angle. There was no blood, no visible wound. But his small body was cool to the touch. Too cool for a fall that had supposedly happened minutes ago. The paramedics worked on him for 22 minutes. A helicopter was called. A trauma team was placed on standby. But Noah Patterson was already gone. The medical examiner later determined the cause of death. Blunt force trauma to the back of the head and cervical spine fractures. The kind of injuries consistent with a fall. But also consistent with something else. Something deliberate. Something the teenage girl at the top of the stairs knew more about than she was telling. Her name was Cassandra, Cassie, Webb. She was 17 years old. She was an honor student. She was the Patterson family's babysitter. She had been watching Noah and his infant sister, Lily, for nearly a year. She was trusted. She was loved. She was, in every sense, part of the family. But in the weeks after Noah's death, investigators would uncover a truth so disturbing it would leave the Patterson family shattered and a sleepy New Jersey town questioning everything it thought it knew about safety, trust, and the faces we invite into our homes. This is not just a story about murder. It is a story about how predators hide in plain sight. How they groom not only children but entire families. How they earn trust, weaponize it, and then discard the evidence like trash in a basement crawl space. And it is a warning every parent must hear. Because the person who hurt Noah Patterson wasn't a stranger lurking in the shadows. She was the babysitter sitting on the couch, smiling at family photos, and learning every secret the Patterson family kept. Before we descend into the darkness of that basement, let us first understand who Noah was and how Cassandra Webb came to sit at the Patterson family's dinner table, trusted and unsuspected. Noah Patterson was 4 years old. He loved dinosaurs, pizza with extra cheese, and watching Bluey on his tablet before bed. He called his father, Daddy, and his mother, Mama. He had a baby sister named Lily who was just 8 months old. He liked to hold her hand and say, "Don't worry, Lily. I'm your big brother." His parents, Mark and Rachel Patterson, had been married for 9 years. Mark was a high school history teacher. Rachel was a pediatric nurse. They had bought their Maplewood colonial 6 years earlier, drawn by the award-winning schools, the tree-lined streets, and the sense of safety. They were the kind of parents who read parenting blogs, who attended PTA meetings, who believed that bad things happen to other people who weren't as careful as they were. Rachel took a leave from her nursing job after Lily was born. She was home with both children, but she needed help. Mark's teaching schedule kept him late most nights. The house was old, the laundry never-ending, and Lily was a colicky baby who rarely slept through the night. In March of 2021, Rachel placed an ad on a local parenting forum, looking for a responsible babysitter, afternoons and occasional evenings. Light housework, good pay, references required. She received several responses. Most were from college students or local teenagers she didn't know. One stood out. Cassandra Webb, 17 years old, junior at Maplewood High School, on a roll, editor of the school newspaper. She had been a mother's helper for a family down the street for 2 years. The family had moved away, but Cassie could provide references. Glowing references. Rachel called the former family. A woman named Karen answered. "Cassie is an angel," Karen said. "She was wonderful with my kids. Punctual, responsible, sweet. Any family would be lucky to have her." What Rachel did not know was that Karen's husband had been convicted of embezzlement years ago, and the family had moved to avoid the stigma. They weren't careful about checking references themselves. They had never once run a background check on Cassie Webb. Neither did Rachel. In the true crime research community, Cassandra Webb's case has become a chilling case study in grooming, not of a child, but of an entire family. And understanding how she operated is the key to preventing future tragedies. Cassandra Webb was a master manipulator. She didn't start out that way. She was raised in a chaotic home, an absentee father, a mother who worked double shifts, a stepfather with a short fuse. She learned early that the way to survive was to become indispensable. She studied people. She learned what they wanted to hear, and she became what they wanted to see. By the time she applied to watch the Patterson children, she had perfected the role of the perfect babysitter. She arrived early. She stayed late. She helped with dishes and folded laundry without being asked. She knew that Noah loved Bluey, so she learned every character's name. She asked Rachel about her day. She listened. She never judged. She was a ghost that served. The Pattersons grew to love her. They gave her a key to the house. They added her to their grocery list. They started conversations with, "What does Cassie think?" She was part of the family. In retrospect, the signs were there. Had anyone been looking? Cassie was overly interested in the layout of the house. She asked casually about the renovation schedule, about which parts of the basement were finished, about where the old door led. She kept a notepad. She said it was for homework, but its pages were sometimes filled with sketches of the house. She also had what child safety experts call a narcissistic personality structure with antisocial features. In plain English, she felt no genuine empathy, but she had learned to mimic it perfectly. According to court documents later unsealed, Cassie had a history of harming smaller animals, pets of neighbors, stray cats, but the incidents were never reported to law enforcement. There was no paper trail. There were no checks. Because who checks a 17-year-old honor student? The investigation would later piece together the events of that night. At 6:15 p.m., Rachel Patterson kissed her children goodbye. She reminded Noah to be good, told Cassie there were frozen pizzas in the freezer, and left for a school fundraiser with Mark. The house was quiet. By 6:30 p.m., Cassie had put Lily down for a nap. Noah was watching cartoons in the living room. What happened next is known only to Cassie, and to Noah, who could no longer speak. Noah's body was found at the base of the basement stairs. The medical examiner's report documented deep bruising on the back of his skull and a fractured cervical spine. There was also bruising on his arms, consistent with being grabbed. The basement stairs, however, showed no signs of a fall. No scuff marks. No disturbed cobwebs. The tools that the Patterson family stored in the basement were neatly arranged, untouched. Detectives noticed something else. The basement door, which was heavy and self-closing, could not have been opened by a 4-year-old child. It required a firm pull, adult strength. Noah Patterson did not fall down those stairs. He was taken down them. But why? What could drive a 17-year-old honor student, beloved by her employers, to murder a child in her care? The answer, when it came, was as disturbing as the crime itself. When police reviewed the Patterson family's nanny cam footage, recordings that Cassie did not know existed, what they saw made seasoned investigators turn away. The Patterson family had installed a nanny cam after a close friend shared a story about a babysitter who left a toddler unattended. It was a small camera hidden inside a bookshelf in the living room. It recorded everything. At 6:41 p.m., the footage shows Noah walking from the living room toward the kitchen. He was carrying his toy dinosaur. At 6:43 p.m., the footage shows Cassie standing at the basement door, her back to the camera. She appears to be speaking to someone, presumably Noah, though the audio is garbled. At 6:47 p.m., the basement door closes with Noah on the other side. Cassie returned to the living room alone, sat on the sofa, and stared at her phone for 45 seconds. Then, Inexplicably, she smiled. The tape kept rolling. Over the next 55 minutes, Cassie was seen going downstairs 3 times. Each time, she remained below for several minutes before returning alone. The 911 call was made at 7:42 p.m. Between 6:47 and 7:42, investigators would later determine Noah Patterson was alive for at least a portion of that time. The medical evidence suggested that the fatal injury occurred sometime between 7:15 and 7:25 p.m. Cassie Webb not only killed a 4-year-old boy, she waited nearly a half hour before calling for help. In that time, she did not pray. She did not cry. She did not attempt first aid. She simply waited. Then she dialed 911 with a voice that trembled on command and told a story that was already beginning to crumble. What creates a child killer? Dr. Helen Verona, a forensic psychologist who evaluated Cassie Webb after her arrest, concluded that Webb met the diagnostic criteria for antisocial personality disorder, what lay people call sociopathy. But sociopathy is not the full explanation. Cassie Webb was not born a killer. She was shaped into one by years of neglect, emotional abuse, and a profound lack of empathy training during her most formative years. As Dr. Verona explained in her deposition, Cassandra Webb learned early that attachment was dangerous. She learned that the only reliable relationship was one she controlled. And she learned that other people, including children, were objects, not persons. What made Cassie dangerous was not her cruelty, it was her competence. She was not a clumsy predator. She was a highly organized manipulator who studied the Patterson family for months before acting. She watched Rachel's routines. She learned Noah's fears, including his fear of the dark basement, which Rachel had mentioned once in passing. She waited for the perfect night, one when the parents would be gone for hours, the baby was asleep, and the snow would muffle any noise. The killing itself was not a crime of passion. It was not a response to a crying child or a moment of lost temper. It was, in Dr. Verona's words, a rehearsal, then an execution. But Cassie Webb's case is not unique, and the failure to spot the warning signs is not Rachel Patterson's alone. It is a systemic failure, one that has repeated itself across America for generations. Bulleted warning signs. History of harming animals. Cassie had hurt neighborhood cats, but no one reported it. Over-involvement with the family. She became indispensable, not just helpful. Gaslighting parents. She downplayed concerns about Noah's injuries and subtly isolated the family from other caregivers. No real friends. Cassie had no close relationships outside the Patterson family. A desire for control. She had to be the one making decisions, even small ones, about the children. But all of these signs had no meaning to the Patterson family because no one had taught them what to look for. No community had provided tools to spot the predator who looked just like every other teenager. No parent wants to believe that the person watching their children could be dangerous. But safety is not built on trust alone. It is built on knowledge, verification, and an unflinching willingness to ask hard questions. Here are 8 concrete steps every parent should take before hiring a babysitter. Steps that might have saved Noah Patterson's life. 1. Run a criminal background check. Websites like the National Sex Offender Public Website, NSAPU, offer free, state-by-state checks. Services like Good Hire or Checker can run more comprehensive searches. A criminal background check costs as little as $15 to $30. It is the best money you will ever spend. 2. Check references, and check them twice. Do not just call the numbers the sitter provides. Cross-reference names with LinkedIn, Facebook, and local community pages. Ask for references from multiple contexts: school, volunteer work, previous families. Call every single one. 3. Hold a working interview at your home. Before you leave your children alone with a sitter, have them spend 2 or 3 hours in your home while you are present. Watch how they interact with your children. Watch for signs of impatience, physical discomfort, or an inability to set appropriate boundaries. Trust your gut. If something feels off, it is. 4. Install nanny cams, and tell the sitter they exist. In most U.S. states, it is legal to record video in common areas of your home, though you must check local laws regarding audio. The presence of cameras is not a sign of distrust, it is a sign of responsibility. Most responsible babysitters will not object. Those who do are telling you something. 5. Ask about their history with animals, siblings, or younger relatives. Do not be afraid to ask directly, "Have you ever hurt an animal?" How do you react when you're really frustrated? A person who cannot answer these questions honestly is not ready to care for children. 6. Set clear boundaries about the home's layout. Make certain areas off-limits. Lock basement doors, home offices, workshops, or any space where hazards exist. A responsible sitter will respect these boundaries without complaint. 7. Drop in unexpectedly. Every parent is busy, but dropping by 15 minutes early, or checking in midday, can reveal a sitter's true behavior. Call on the home phone, not the sitter's cell. Use video doorbells. Ask neighbors to keep a casual eye out. 8. Listen to your children. After the sitter leaves, ask open-ended questions. What did you do? Did anything that felt scary happen? Did the sitter say or do anything that made you uncomfortable? Do not brush off vague answers. Your child's discomfort is your most powerful warning system. Darkness hides in the details, notes child safety advocate Dr. Karen J. Smith. But preparation lets in the light. Be the light for your child. The trial of Cassandra Webb began in September 2023. She was charged with first-degree murder, aggravated assault, and tampering with evidence. The prosecution played the nanny cam footage. They called forensic pathologists who explained the severity of Noah's injuries. They presented Cassie's internet search history, which included queries about head injuries, the effects of falls versus blows, and the legal age of trial as a juvenile. The defense argued that Cassie was a victim of an unstable home environment, that she suffered from undiagnosed mental illness, and that Noah's death was a tragic accident exacerbated by her panic. The jury deliberated for 3 days. The verdict: guilty of second-degree murder. The judge sentenced Cassie Webb to 20 years to life in a state correctional facility, the maximum allowable for a juvenile offender in New Jersey. She will be eligible for parole after serving 17 years. She will be 37 years old. Noah Patterson will be forever 4. In a victim impact statement read aloud in court, Rachel Patterson said, "Noah loved you, Cassie. He trusted you. He called you his big friend. And you took him down to that basement, to the place he was most afraid of, and you ended his life. I don't understand evil. I don't pretend to. But I know it wears normal clothes, speaks in a normal voice, and smiles like someone you think you can trust." The Patterson family moved from their Maplewood colonial 6 months after the trial. They could not stay in a house where every staircase led to a memory. Rachel returned to nursing. Mark took a leave of absence from teaching. Lily, now 4 years old, carries no memory of her brother, only photographs and stories. Noah's room remains exactly as he left it. The family has started a foundation, Noah's Light. It provides background check scholarships for low-income families and trains childcare providers to spot the behavioral red flags that Cassie Webb hid so well. Before we end, I want to leave you with a final call to action. Not just for parents, but for anyone entrusted with a child's safety. Action steps. Learn the red flags of grooming. Grooming doesn't only happen to children. It happens to entire families. Read the resources linked in the description below. Talk to your children about body safety, secrets, and safe touches, without euphemism or fear. Use books designed for their age group. Many are free through local libraries. Share this video with the parents in your life. Don't let discomfort win over action. Your share could be the warning someone needs. Noah Patterson's story is not just a cautionary tale, it is a call to wake up. Evil does not always wear a hoodie in the dark. Sometimes, evil sits at your kitchen table, compliments your cooking, and volunteers to put your children to bed. But awareness is not paranoia. It is preparation. And preparation is love. If you take nothing else from this video, remember this: you are never overreacting when you're protecting a child. That pause before you trust. That background check. That second reference call. That uncomfortable question. Do it anyway. For Noah. For every child whose light was extinguished by someone they trusted. Subscribe to Dark Crime and Caution. Hit the bell. Share this video. And stay safe.